Welcome back to more Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. So last time, we beat Philmon, who I'm fighting again, you'll see why in a bit. And yeah, we completed the EX dungeon last time, and yeah, this part we're going to be going over some of the loose ends regarding the EX dungeon. And then yeah, we're going to be giving my final thoughts on everything Persona 2. So, shall we get started? So yeah, one thing I never mentioned about Philemon in the last fight is of course he has a certain skill, which I've talked about before. And that's of course Armageddon R. He is, in the PS1 version, he's the only enemy that has it. But in this version, he's shortened by some enemies in combat entries. So here's how it works. Use Armageddon against him. He's immune. Then you can attack him, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, next turn he's going to use Armageddon R, so it's not like a direct counter. So that's good to know. But there you go, there's Armageddon R. Basically the same animation, and yeah, it instantly kills you. So yeah, don't use Armageddon against him, obviously. So yeah. Do you wonder if that dialogue has something to do with that? But anyway, here's another game over for you. So yeah, now back to the title screen, which is good for me because yeah, I do want to show something else. So yeah, so last time I got an A rank with the EX dungeon. There's a reason for that. Of course, there's actually 3 butterflies you need to get. So, where did I miss one of the butterflies? Well, let's go to here, this save bar. This is the save bar I got the S rank in. Because as you see here, I never went into 1B for whatever reason. Again, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's because in my guide, it only like briefly mentioned 1B and it didn't dedicate a whole section to it, so yeah. I think that's the main reason why this happened, but that's okay. Anyway, so 1B is very simple though. I think this might be the reason why it wasn't really well covered. It's basically just a straight line. And yeah, once you get to the end, you'll get an item box. And that item box is the golden butterfly. But you may notice, yeah, the map looks a little different. So let's go to key items, let's have a look at what the description is. So golden butterfly, Philemon's emblem that represents the creative potential of the collective unconscious. So yeah, that's his symbol. You got the Alphabet symbol and then the symbol of humanity, which is the white butterfly. But you see that, yeah, now our encounter sunset is red. In this game it works a little bit differently. Instead of like working kind of like Persona Q in this sense, but yeah, once it becomes red, that means the random encounter is close. It basically gives you an idea of what the random encounter rate is. If it's red, that means it's the highest amount of random encounters. So yeah. Anyway, what wonderful enemies they decide to put at max encounter rate, basically. It's all the enemies that hurl misfortune. So yeah. So they're gonna get a nice Armageddon to the face. So yeah. While this is happening, I guess I also have balance this turned off. I think that's fine. Yes, again. I think now, while I try very hard to get out of here, because I think it's going to be quite a slug, let's talk about how do I feel about the EX dungeon overall. So yeah, it was enjoyable, I must say. Again, like I said, it's definitely very weird, because again, he has a lot of weird puzzles in the game, and he does have like a lot of weird puzzles. A lot of them, some of them don't even have combat too. And then yeah, of course, encounters, yeah, it can be a bit of a mixed bag because yeah, if you prepare a lot, then it's not that difficult. Is it like I did basically? But yeah, of course, Omega is just so good in this place. Especially considering, yeah, you kind of want to be a little bit fast. If you want that S rank, I mean, yeah, if you want that S rank, then yeah, you need to be in under 8 hours. Which again, that's not difficult, even if you're not using Omega, but yeah. It does become a lot easier though, especially if you're kind of leveled to use Armageddon. And yeah, you have like, you know, kind of stats, good equipment, all that. Although yeah, I don't think the equipment was really necessary. I think it was maybe just the stats that made the big difference. So yeah, you can probably just go in whatever the best armor in the game that you could buy was. So yeah. And yeah, you do get rewarded by being the EX Dungeon, which I will be showing as well. Of course, another thing you can do is if you save up your tomes, you can obviously use your EX Dungeon playthrough, then put that into New Game Plus, and then yeah, you have some of the extras you got in the EX Dungeon for the main game, like the totems for Yarmuk and Gabriel, which aren't that useful, but it's kind of interesting. And then of course the totem for Azazel, which yeah, you could definitely get some use out of, especially if you have a Tatsu that's out of my mind. So yeah. So that should be the last of them. So yeah. But yeah, like I said, I don't know if I don't think this dungeon really changes my mind about, how I feel about. I don't think it changed my mind about how I feel about, post game dungeons and games, but it is interesting for Persona at least, because they don't really do stuff like this. Like, yeah. Again, I guess there was Monad in Persona 3, the older version of Persona 3, but yeah, that kind of just exists to have the highest level enemies in the game so you could grind, and then you had the final, or the super boss at the end. So yeah. Again, I guess there's also, the areas they added to the re-releases, those kind of count as well, but yeah. Those I guess kind of count as well, but yeah. I guess another cool thing about the extension too, when you think about it again, it does feel like, a celebration of both games, because yeah, you're seeing things from both games, and even your knowledge from Insta Sync can get tested a little bit too, so yeah. So again, it's an interesting experience, at least. I'm glad I did get to show up on the channel too, as a thing way to send off the extension, so yeah. Or just Persona 2 in general, so yeah. So I'm happy with that. But anyway, I mean, that's funny. And also, the Pokemon fight, again, if you know what you're doing, it's not too bad, but of course, there's definitely a lot of ways you can mess you up with a Ton Light and Spectral Force mainly. And even Photon Cannon is not to be trifled with. You're gonna get, you're gonna have a world of pain if he keeps using that when you have all repelling personas. That's one problem that, Nyarlathotep in Goma Trace had. You didn't have an AoE physical skill to punish you by doing a tactic like that, so yeah. And of course, it is nice to use Armageddon art, but again, it's not really unique to him anymore, because again, some enemies in Goma Trace have it as well, so yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's, mainly everything I want to talk about. And yeah, like I said, yeah, it was a pleasure to do this on the channel. But anyway, what I want to do now, though, is I want to go back to the title screen. Once again. Because, yeah, let's show off our reward for getting the, let's show off the reward for getting, finishing up the, EX dungeon with an S rank. So yeah, I probably need this file. This is the one I got the S rank in, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, here it is. Yes, yes, Nameless, I have a humble gift for you. This is an alternate world. This is an alternate world away from the real world. There must be a time when you want to hear the voices of your friends. If you ask me, I can call those people using this evil phone. Please use it. Well then, I wish you good luck. So yeah, and apparently Nameless is on this too. Well, yeah. I think that's because in the original game, he could, play the cutscenes in the game, I think it was. But of course, that's not really a thing anymore because you can just view them in the main game, so yeah. So yeah, there's that. But now, yeah, let's go see what Philemon's got for us. So what you need to do is talk to him, make small talk, and here you go. So we have these 4 address books, and yeah, you can contact everyone once you get an S rank. So yeah, let's go through all of them. And there's actually quite a lot. So how do these work? Well, let's talk to Katsuya.
ただいま留守にしております。メッセージをどうぞ。なお、あまり短いと逆探できないので長めにお願いします。
So yeah, basically what you do is you call them, and then this is like the reply if they're like unavailable and stuff. So yeah, it's a voicemail kind of thing. So yeah. And you get to see it for a lot of different characters, not just playable characters. Because, of course, we're playing the PSP version, these are the Japanese dub, but if you did get the S rank of the original game, or PS1 version, should be saying, then yeah, these use the English dub, and yeah, depending on who you ask, that's probably better, because yeah, these are a bit, less serious. Obviously, they're not serious at all, in fact. So yeah, the humor factor, of course, is gonna be probably a bit funnier. So yeah, man, let's see Ulal now.
じゃああんた男ねえねえねえイケてる男だったらメッセージ入れといて
They definitely, I will say too, yeah, they definitely do fit the characters quite well as well. So yeah, but anyway, Ikichu.
ほーこの僕にラブコールなのかい今は忙しくてね。Sorry, baby.
And it's awesome. Well, Lisa.
今電話に出れないの。メッセージ入れといて。ソリーや。
So yeah, I like that one too. And Babu, he's gonna be funny.
悪いが今留守だ。気が向いたら聞いてやるから。メッセージでも入れとくんだな。
So yeah. Alright, address book 2. Here we got Maya herself.
Let's positive speaking! メッセージは前向きにね。
Yep, it's got a catchphrase. On our Jun.
今は留守です。ごめんなさい。よかったら伝言をどうぞ。
Oh, yeah, it's a bit short. How about Ellie?
Hello 申し訳ありませんけれど今電話に出られませんのメッセージお願いしますわ
And yeah, obviously, adding in the English words.
今は出られない。よかったらメッセージを入れてくれ。
Yeah, Tatsu is straightforward and to the point, as Break said. We can also, do Kadori.
語るには会いた。メッセージを入れたまえ。私を失望させないようにな。
So yeah, now we're getting into the strange ones. How about address book 3? Which is Ginji.
連絡なら事務所を通してくれたまえ。女性なら別だがね。
And yeah, that. Again, that doesn't really pop up that much. The fact that, he's, doing illegal things like that, but hey. How about Chizuru?
一二見よいつむななやここのたり語れゆらゆらと語れ
There you go. Nyala Photop.
言いたきことがあるなら聞いてやろう。その拙い口で語ってみせろ。
He does have his, mix of voice, I guess, as well, which is pretty cool. I mean, Nanjo.
何の用だ。少年をいやすく学なりがたし。一寸の行員カロンズべからずだ。伝言があるなら手短に入れておけ。
I do like the Oz sling time is fleeing. Oz lasting time is fleeing, I mean. I mean, Philemon has a pretty funny one.
私は電話の狭間に住まう者。君は自分の名を告げることができるかね。
I like that one because, it pokes fun at the fact at his dialogue where, yeah, you need to tell him your name when you first meet him, so yeah. And book 4. Here we got Pseudo.
電話俺は電波専門だ。電話には出られねえぞ
Yep. That one's definitely one of the funnier ones. And now we got Apollo.
我は汝は我は電子の海よりいでし者現代社会の必需品便利至極な留守番電話なり
Yeah. Very happy. And then finally, Kato Shimazu.
いやーどうもこんにちはんこそば今は留守にしてるんだ要件のある腐る野郎はメッセージを入れてくれよろしく頼んだぞ
Okay. That's all of them. So, yeah. Again, it's just a small thing, but hey, at least you do get something for, achieving a good rank through the X dungeon. So, yeah. Again, I'm kind of sad I didn't get the S rank because I would have if I knew where 1B was, but that's okay. So, yeah, with that done, how about we now load my file from before the EX dungeon? Because now, let's just give the final thoughts now. So, yeah. We'll go to Maya's room. I'll probably play the Subby Construction Site music again. Because again, I like it. I kind of wish that we got Mount Kasamuri from Innocence in this game, but that's okay. I guess I could spice things up and use the I'll spice things up and use the PS1 version of the track, so yeah. I guess I can do that, I believe. So yeah, let's go to settings. You want the original soundtrack, which I basically never used this playthrough. It's pretty good too, it's just that, yeah, I didn't really find the need, especially because, yeah, I could have used it when I went to Ellie route, but yeah, you are going to a new area anyway, so yeah. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I'll just use the remix soundtrack for the whole game, so yeah. I mean, like I said, yeah, Subway Construct Site PS1 version this time. It does sound quite different, actually. Sounds a little bit more ominous. Anyway. And that's starting up. Alright, so yeah. Let's go over everything now, and I do mean everything, because yeah. We did beat Eternal Punishment, but of course, that's gonna change my perspective on Innocent Sin a little bit too. So how about we think about that? So in Innocent Sin, again, I don't think the plot is as good in Innocent Sin, but one thing I will appreciate Innocent Sin for is the fact that, yeah, it did, you know, it sets up Eternal Punishment actually quite well, to be honest, with its ending, so yeah. So that's one thing I can, that's one thing that, yeah, I could definitely appreciate with Innocent Sin, so yeah. And again, I think outside that, though, it's kind of like the traditional Persona plot where you got your high school students need to go out and save the world, but I don't know. I don't think it's as good as, you know, how other Persona games do it, in my opinion. It kind of just feels like, I wouldn't say disjointed, but I don't know. It doesn't feel as, you know, epic as Persona 3, in my opinion. Or the modern Personas, I should be saying. Or even like Persona 1. I don't know. Except for the end, of course. The end is really good. I think it's just that, yeah, the story beats that happened before then, I don't know. I wasn't as big of a fan. Well, that's okay, because I did enjoy the characters and the moments, to be honest. Again, some characters get more relevance than others, and then, like Akichi, for example, his main character arc is at the beginning of the game, and then there's, of course, the cover of the Shens, which actually, yeah, I did quite like in Sin, to be honest. Again, I think in Sin's plot, it's not like my favorite Persona plot, but I still think it's pretty decent. Kind of like how I feel about Innocent as a whole, so yeah. Yeah. But again, yeah, I do like all the main characters, to be honest. What they go through and stuff. I think it's just, again, it's interesting. Again, I don't think Innocent Sin's cast is that strong. Again, compared to, you know, Modern Persona and Eternal Punishment. I think it's, like, fine again. I think, yeah, one thing about those is that, yeah, Maya is a really good character in Innocent Sin, so of course seeing her take this different role in Eternal Punishment is very interesting. So yeah, again, it's interesting to think about, so yeah. Of course, yeah, I still like Lisa and Kichi, they're still really good. Tatsuya as the main character, again, like he's fine in Innocent Sin, but of course, you feel for him a lot more thanks to this skin, though, it feels like. Same could be said about Maya in some regard too, because it does feel like, yeah, something has been lost now that, you know, what happened at the end of Innocent, and now her new role in this game, so yeah. But, you know, she is definitely still the same Maya we all know and love. It's that, yeah, she isn't as expressive about it, so yeah. So yeah, again, I do think, yeah, again, Innocent's characters are still pretty good, and then gameplay-wise, again, like I said, it's gonna be hard to go back to Innocent Sin after playing Eternal Punishment, especially this PSP version. You know, improving all that. Again, it's definitely a bit rough around the edges. I think no matter what version you pick, and also the difficulty is a bit imbalanced in your favor, it's a bit of an easy game. Probably the easiest game in the Persona series, even if you do set the highest difficulty. Persona is actually not that hard of a series. It's just that with modern Persona, they like to add these really difficult, high difficulties. But at the same time, though, the games aren't that difficult, mechanically speaking, I would say. It's just that, yeah, again, enemies are quite strong, but at some point, yeah, you're gonna get overpowered tools and you can start overpowering them, so yeah. Again, they never have the hard moments. I feel like, yeah, some people said that Eternal Punishment and its hard mode is like the hardest Persona game. That's just a thing about that. But again, you know, Persona 3, Persona 4 have those really high difficulties, and yeah, they're quite brutal, especially early on, so yeah. And Persona 5, yeah, Persona 5 is interesting because, you know, Merciless isn't actually its hardest difficulty, so yeah. But anyway, like I said, Innocent's gameplay I'm okay with. Again, I would rather play Eternal Potion, obviously, but again, though, I think it's fine. Fusion spells are still kind of interesting, even if, yeah, some are a bit overpowered. Um, and again, I think the main annoyance is, again, just contacting things again. It is that, yeah, again, it's kind of random. I feel like in Eternal Punishment that it's a little bit less annoying, but it's still kind of annoying, obviously, so yeah. At least the legendary weapons are a lot easier to get in Eternal Punishment because they were kind of a nightmare in Instance, so yeah. At least not all the legendary weapons are worth going chasing after seconds this that. So again, yeah, like I said, I think game-wise, again, Innocent is still worth checking out. But again, I feel like if I'm playing Innocent, I'm mainly playing it for the plot and the characters. So yeah, gameplay-wise, again, it doesn't engage me as much as Eternal Punishment, obviously. So yeah. Oh yeah, there's still stuff to like, of course. I still, you know, like these personas, thinking about how they synergize the fusion spells and stuff. So yeah. Man, what about Eternal Punishment though? Again, like I said, plot-wise, again, I really love the plot in Eternal Punishment 2. I think it is better than Innocent as well. I think part of that is just because, you know, this concludes everything, this plot. And again, the ending is a bit bittersweet too, but again, I think it works in the game's favor with the beans and stuff. I do think the beans of this game too, again, they are definitely a lot more relatable to my current position, obviously, but again, though, I think for everyone, though, there's a lot to get attached to. Again, I'm not saying that, you know, Eternal Punishment is the game you can, like, you know, see yourself in, I guess, with your current situation, because, you know, it has not that adult cost. Because I think, you know, Persona 3 and Persona 4 do a pretty decent job at that, especially Persona 3 in my opinion. But yeah, with the themes and stuff. But yeah, Tunnel Puncher though, when it comes to classic Persona though, it's definitely, I feel like it's on top when it comes to, you know, the themings and the messages and stuff. And again, a lot of stuff I think is really good. I think also the threat of Nyarlathotep throughout is also pretty well done. Again, it is the same. Chase around Joker was final. Especially considering that, yeah, you learn that, yeah, he's your best friend. Being tempted to the dark side. So it is definitely, you know, there's something very interesting about, you know, helping him out and then getting him to your side. So, yeah. Say there's that. Again, it's interesting. So, yeah. It's interesting that, it's. It's interesting in that regard, but again, like I said, I think I like the flow of this plot, but I think one thing about it too is the characters, obviously, and how they relate to the plot. Yes, again, I do like, you know, the character stakes in this. You got, you know, Katsuya and Paupu who really want to chase after, Tatsu. And then, of course, you got, Tatsu who really wants to chase after Nyarlathotep, and he also knows that Nyarlathotep is the one behind everything, as we saw in the Lone Shadow scenarios. And of course, Sulala, she's kind of just here to, you know, tag along and Maya, but again, she does have her own character arc to go through near the beginning, so yeah. Again, she is probably the weakest Pi member when you think about it like that, but I do think that, again, she does have her moments. I do like the fact that, you know, she sticks with Maya, and yeah, she does have some interesting dialogue with the other Pi members in the fact, yeah. And the fact that she gets to go with Balfour at the end, that's definitely kind of heartwarming, so yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I kind of just started talking about the characters there, but yeah, I think Eternal Punishment has one of my favorite casts of the series. Class of Persona, definitely. Modern Persona, that's hard to say because, you know, I love the cast in those games, to be honest. Again, I think, I do have my preference, obviously. I think Persona 3's cast is, like, excellent. Persona 4 and Persona 5 had their own, like, niches they fulfill, and they do a very good job of it, in my opinion, so yeah. I think it's just that, I don't know, Persona 3's cast really stands out for me. I guess that might have something to do with the fact that, you know, Reload good them up a little bit. Getting to see them in, you know, the new presentation stuff is quite interesting, so yeah. And again, like I said, though, Eternal Punishment though, again, like I said, seeing the characters, you know, interact with the plot, seeing how they connect with the themes of the plot too, it's really good stuff, so yeah. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of characters I like. I think Lala and Bofu might be the highlights for me. Again, like I said, Lala, again, she might not mean so much for the, you know, main plot, but I kind of just feel for her, you know? Same with Tots in that regard too. And then of course Balfour, I just like, you know, the redemption arc he kinda gets. It's definitely a bit an unconventional one, especially because yeah, you only really get the big redemption at the end. You get something like small in the middle when you find out about his past life as Karu Saga. But again, that bit of the final dungeon, that was definitely the most powerful in my opinion. So yeah, seeing his past and stuff and seeing the trauma he's been going through basically. Again, that does make him, you know, kind of relatable in his own way as well. And of course, yeah, Touch, I can definitely relate to the fact that yeah, he wants to, you know, feel more like an adult around these other adults. I'm an adult myself, and I still, you know, feel like there's a long way to go for me. So yeah, so I can never relate to Tots in that regard. So yeah, and again, yeah, the fact that you know this game, you know, talks about you know the challenges of you know growing up and stuff, what an adult has to go through, but then also showing that yeah, there's a lot of fun things that can happen. You can, and you know, I do definitely feel that as well, especially you know with my current position, obviously. You know, Spacing it is kind of thing that yeah, things might be looking better for me after playing the television. You know, thinking about you know the themes of the game in that regard. So yeah. Anyway, goes gameplay wise again. I'm not so sure if I like Guitar Project as much as Wolfenstein. Again, I don't think it's that good in comparison. It's hard to say because Wolfenstein is good and all, but it hasn't really changed so much since you know Persona 3. And again, it's mainly just you know building off a really good formula with the one more system. There's definitely no problem with that. But again, like I said, once you do have played one Persona game, you kind of you know figured out the rest. It's just that you know the game's challenge you in their own ways with like the bosses and stuff, or like maybe the random counts too. So yeah, there's that to think about as well. But I think the Telepush, again, like I said, it's not the hardest game in the world, although I guess hard mode can be quite the challenge with how hard the enemies hit by comparison. But again, like I said, Fusion spells feel a lot more balanced. It feels like you need to rely on basically all kinds of different fusion spells, and also the game balance in general as well. Like, you don't get the Ma Kacha boss until later in this game in comparison, and then you really feel when you get them because yeah, it feels like boss do a lot in this game, you know? So yeah. So yeah, I feel like yeah, on hard mode, yeah, it's very important to, you know, get boss as soon as possible and start making use of them. Like yeah, against like early game bosses, if you have, you know, like Rock Kacha and stuff, Samakach to help you out. That can make a big difference. Of course, using the Warlock skills too is also really good. I think there is also a good addition too. They're very powerful, but of course, they can be a great equalizer if you're like under leveled or of course you're playing on hard mode. So yeah, I do appreciate their presence. So yeah. And again, yeah. There's definitely like there's a few like new personas and new stuff too, like you know, gun skills being a thing too. But again, it's mainly like minor things from Innocence and kind of like, you know, going from you know like Persona 3 to Persona 4 in some regard. But again, of course, there's like definitely big differences from going between Persona 3 and 4. And of course, there's definitely some difference here too. I think in general, though, I think the thing about it is that even like outside of Battle, Atomic Punch takes a lot of the mechanics from Instant and then polishes them out a bit. I feel like I care more about you know the sweet stakes. I care more about how rumors work in this game too. I care. That's like and yeah, other things too, like how the fortune telling works. Again, it just takes a lot of things from you know Innocent and just refines them. And of course, the PSP version does even better job in that regard, giving you basically a little bit more options and playing similar to Innocent PSP, which is good if yeah that was the version you decided to play. So yeah, so that's great. Like I said, yeah, if there's one classic Persona game I recommend checking out, it's definitely a Teleportation. So yeah. Anyway, speaking of which, where would I rank Eternal Punishment? That's a good question. And yeah, how does it compare to, you know, the other Personas or maybe some other RPGs? Again, that's hard to say because, again, I do have my personal favorites. Like, you know, Persona 1, that was a magical experience to go through. Like, playing it on my own time, playing on a channel, very magical stuff. And then, of course, Persona 3 was also a very magical experience, playing that on the channel, experiencing Rebirth with my brother, watching him play it. Again, there's just, you know, there's a lot of great modes in, you know, play Persona games. The top budget, yeah, it was definitely a magical experience in its own right. It's just like, yeah, I think part of that is because of, you know, how long it's taken me to go through all this, so yeah. And that includes like both games basically, so yeah. But yeah. We'll get back to that in a bit. But yeah, again. Going into Mombasa again, like I said, I don't know if it's as good. I mean, one thing it does have in its favor is, of course, yeah, outside of, the EX dungeon and maybe the grind to prepare for it, it's definitely way shorter when compared to modern Persona games. And I guess, yeah, some modern Persona games, like mainly Persona 4 and Persona 5, they do want you to play New Game Plus, obviously, if you want to experience everything, which again, I guess this game does, and it's shorter, so. Again, I guess Kaz of Naruto, but again, being a shorter game, I can definitely see being a harder because again, Persona can be quite lengthy and maybe a bit of a struggle to go through for some people, especially if you're like very busy. Again, the Television definitely has that in that regard, but again, I can definitely see some people not enjoying the plot as such compared to episode 5, for example. Episode 5 was very action packed with, the fantasy stuff and stuff, so yeah. Again, I don't know. This plot, again, I think it just does a really good job with the theming and stuff, and also the characters. So yeah, I think if I was to put this on my turn pool, it'd be like neck and neck with a version of Persona 3. I'm not so sure which version because again, I haven't played Reload, so yeah, I only watched people play it. So yeah, but overall was a fun time, I will say. So yeah. Again, I feel like that's what it's, neck and neck with personally speaking, because again, Persona 1's still my personal favorite, so yeah, is what that game means to me, so yeah. In terms of like other RPGs, I'll admit that, yeah, again, when it comes to like, PS1 RPGs, I'm not as familiar with those, it feels like. I'm definitely more familiar with, the generation before, and I guess the GBA as well in that regard. So again, I'm not so sure what I could compare it to. I guess Final Fantasy 7, since I have actually played that. And it's interesting to think about, comparing those games because, again, both of them I feel like are pretty mechanically rich. I feel like FF7 is probably a bit more with its material system, but yeah. But both games do have a very interesting plot, especially, character-wise too. And they have their strong moments too. Again, it's interesting to think about that regard. Again, I'm not so sure if there's like, I don't know if, yeah, there's like, I don't know what other comparisons can make again. I could definitely compare with like other Persona games and stuff, but again, like I said, I feel like yeah, it's definitely up there as one of my favorite games of the series. I feel like after playing it, because again, I think it's just that yeah, both the gameplay and the plot really intrigued me to be honest. So yeah, and again, if you want a custom Persona game, this is the one I recommend checking out. And if you even better if you get to play as supporter, because I do think it makes the plot even better in my opinion. So yeah. So that's what I recommend. But anyway, how do I feel about this project? Oh boy. So yeah, the thing about this is that yeah, I've been playing Persona 2 for a year now. I'm pretty sure that yeah, when I first started playing Inzerson, not on the channel, this was on my own time. It was September last year, end of September I should be saying, but yeah. I guess yeah, maybe I'll have a look at the whole timeline of events. So yeah, let's go all the way back to the start of me playing it. And so I guess I could give the time a little bit. So last year, yeah, I was playing Gran Turismo 4, trying to get 100% with that game because yeah, that was one of my big bucket list kind of things. So yeah, so I really wanted to do that. I was able to do that, and then I promised my friend that yeah, I'll try out Innocent and he can come along for some parts of it. So yeah, we did that. We had a lot of fun doing that. So yeah, so I decided that yeah, I would play the game on the channel, and then yeah, obviously follow up with Town Punishment because again, you need to play both games in my opinion. So yeah, so there's that. So yeah, like I said, yeah, I started in as a Sid on my own time, early or late September I should be saying, and then I started it was after Frasier, obviously. Had a fun time with that game too. But yeah, Innocent, yeah, that was 10 months ago apparently. So yeah, it's been a long time since that, and that's also roughly when I started my. So it's around December last year, and then of course that's when I started playing Eternal Punishment in my own time. And then of course after Sin was done, I started the Eternal Punishment playthrough, which took a bit because again I was going through a lot. I started around 5 months ago, it says, so yeah. This has definitely been one of my longer playthroughs, time-wise, even though part-wise, I guess it's also been kind of long, but yeah. I don't think any playthrough is gonna match Persona 3 for a little while, so yeah, again. I've been playing these games a lot, so of course I've been thinking about these games a lot. And yeah, I will have to say this again, I'm just so grateful that, people have watched these playthroughs and enjoyed watching them as well. People do seem very interested in learning about Persona 2, and I'm happy that, I was able to share that and also share all the findings I was able to show in these playthroughs. And again, maybe show some things that are less well known as well. And maybe, clear up the air on some things that people haven't been able to, find out. So yeah. So yeah, that, again, that's definitely something to be proud of. Again, maybe that has something to do with that, yeah. When I think about, Persona, of course, Bicklingly got me into the modern Persona games, and yeah, I was hoping I could do something similar with classic Persona once, I really love playing Persona 1, so yeah. And again, yeah, if he did, stick out with me through all of these playthroughs, all the classic ones and the Persona 3 one, yeah, I'm just extremely grateful, obviously, so yeah. And of course, yeah, my friends too, of course. I mentioned a friend that, yeah, he watched me play through all of Persona 2. My own playthrough, and then, of course, on the channel, obviously, so yeah. Again, can't thank him enough for watching me play Persona 1 as well. Again, yeah, we're big fans of the series, of course, and then, of course, everyone else who chats to me about these games too. I'm also very grateful for those, and of course, those who want to, discuss what I've been through as well. Yeah, can't thank that enough, obviously. So yeah, just really grateful. Again, I don't know if this is one of my best projects. Again, it's definitely one of the ones I feel like I put in the most hard work in, considering the length. But yeah. I do apologize for some delays throughout both Innocence and version. Again, some of it was, out of my control, and some of it was just because, again, I feel like I needed to, assess my situation, like I mentioned with my September or October. Well, yeah, now it's October. The last one was September, so yeah. But yeah, and I'm pretty sure, weighing it out, allowing me to, think about, how I'm gonna move forward, and then, eventually, get to playing these games. So yeah. So again, yeah, this is definitely one to be proud of, at least, because again, I just, I felt like I did so much. And yeah, who knows? Maybe there's more to do with Classic Persona, but again, this is probably it for Classic Persona. Which again, that's definitely sad to think about, because again, I feel like a lot of my identity did come from, playing Persona 1. So yeah, it kind of feels like, yeah, we're kind of letting go of that a little bit. Which again, that is definitely a bittersweet, a kind of a bittersweet feeling, but again, I gave my all with the Sun one is top version, so yeah. I'm just, glad that, people, enjoyed watching these games, so yeah. I like them other two, and I hope, yeah, you do check them out and see if, these games are, interesting. Again, these laid the foundation for modern Atlas. Persona 1 was the reason why we started getting Atlas RPGs in the West to begin with, even if, again, it was definitely very rough around the edges, but hey. Then we got a ton of Punch, obviously, and then after that, the floodgates opened with, like, Nocturne, DDS, and of course Persona 3 and 4, so yeah. So again, they're very important games, so I'm happy to, share that, and of course have a fun time playing them as well. Again, when I played this in my own time, I felt confident in the fact that, yeah, I was able to do it. Again, I probably could have done this earlier, play through these games. Again, like I said, after Persona 1, I just wasn't feeling confident in doing it right now. I think I wanted to play, something else, and that's why, again, I wanted the Persona 3 playthrough first. And it was kind of nice to, see what modern Persona felt like once again after playing Persona 5, so yeah. So that was cool. We'll get more into that obviously later, but yeah. But again, yeah, definitely a bit of a surreal feeling, go through all these games, document them very well as well, so yeah. And again, yeah. Once again, I just can't thank everyone enough for, watching all these parts if you did, so yeah. And of course, Game to turn the scrub as well. That's definitely a big achievement as well. So yeah. Anyway, what next up Persona SMT? And yeah, for that, it could go both ways because of course, yeah, we know that the game Persona 4 Revival, that's the next Persona game, really did well. I was definitely accepting that. Of course, that'd be cool to see if, Persona 1 and Persona 2 get remakes at some point. Again, you could argue that these PSP versions were kind of remakes at the same time, yeah. They were kind of releases at the same time. So, yeah. So we'll see if, we get a very modern remake. It'll be interesting to discuss too if it does happen. So, yeah. Yes, again, they could change the gameplay, they could change the plot a little bit. We'll see if that happens. Hey, we're not really sure what's going to happen outside of this for Persona. We did just get Raido, so I guess we'll find out. Maybe get a Raido. Maybe get the Raido 2 remastered, that'd be cool, so yeah. But for the channel though, yeah, it might be a little while before I play another SMT game or Persona game. One thing that is sad though, I do want to play Persona 4 on the channel one day. If I have the ability to, that is. Because again, at the moment I don't think I do, so yeah. Again, yeah, Persona 4, yeah, that's definitely a game I really want to show on the channel, whether it's Golden or Revival. Well, at least, Torment Revival, because again, probably gonna be a while before I play that, so yeah. But again, Persona 4 was what got me into the series, watching a playthrough of it, so yeah, now we're down this rabbit hole, so yeah. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, I want to experience it for myself and see how I feel about the themes, the gameplay, the characters, and all that. Again, it's definitely an interesting game, and I can't wait to talk about it once again. So yeah, and of course, yeah, probably people want to see me play Persona 5. I'm gonna have to double dip to get the game because I played the PS4 version when it was new. So yeah, that was my first Persona game I played. So again, it's definitely a special one as well in that regard. And it'll be also, fun to talk about, why I liked and why I didn't like too. It's definitely a game that's a little bit polarizing, but definitely very positive even still. So yeah. And again, I like a lot more than my brother, so there's that, I guess. So yeah. But yeah, again, probably not going to be doing S&T for a little while. And again, there's a lot of PS2 S&T games I would like to play. Again, that's something I would probably want to weigh on as well. But again, DDS would be interesting. Who knows? Nocturne. And of course, the 3DS games too. If I feel more confident in recalling 3DS games, then of course that opens the door for Devil Survivor Overclocked and SMT4, both versions. So yeah, there's a lot to think about. And who knows, maybe I play SMT5 Vengeance if I want to get that as well. There's definitely a lot to think about when it comes to, SMT. I'm still a greenhorn, obviously. I didn't really got the Persona games on my belt, as well as the original SMT5. So yeah, I still have a lot to learn. And it's definitely proven a stage that, people really love to see me play. So yeah, I'm eager to do more if, it makes sense to. So yeah. So yeah, that's mainly everything I want to talk about. Again, once again, I can't thank everyone for sticking out with this really long playthrough. And of course, if you did learn a good amount about Tunnel Punisher thanks to me, yeah, thanks so much. So yeah. And yeah, same goes for Innocent or even my Persona 1 playthrough from way back when. So yeah. Next channel, let's see, my next playthrough is going to be Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. Gonna be my first time playing a Castlevania game, so that's gonna be interesting. And yeah, also 200 subscribers special, can't forget about that too, if, we stay at that point, so yeah. I think it'll be quite the interesting video in its own right, so yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's everything with Persona 2. It definitely feels a bit surreal finally, ending this super long journey. But yeah, we finally made it. We finally made it to the end. I did more than I was expecting to, go through the EX dungeon like I did, so yeah. But anyway. So yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely proud though. Getting a little bit emotional thinking about, this being the end, obviously, so yeah. But yeah. This is definitely one to be proud of in the end, I must say, so yeah. But anyway. So yeah. That'll be that. So next time, yeah. It'll be one of those two things I mentioned, so yeah, look forward to what I have stored in the future, and yeah. Like the end of the game, yeah, things might be difficult, but yeah, it's gonna be alright in the end, isn't it? So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, yeah, look forward to what I install next, and yeah, I'll see you guys again for that.